What's up, shit? Timers here. Now, one of the best Christmas movies of all time is obviously my favorite will always be Home Alone, but lots of other folks will say that one of the greatest Christmas films of all time, which obviously this is in my top 10, is the 1946 film It's a Wonderful Life. Now, it's pretty much a Christmas classic throughout. Definitely a really classic one, directed by Frank Capra, starring Jimmy Stewart and all. Well, looks like a remake is now being in the works. Kanan Barris, who was talking about his like Richard Pryor film and his Wiz Roz flick, had been given an interview by Variety, and he also says that he is planning to do a remake of It's a Wonderful Life. Here's what he am saying. Barris is also remaking It's a Wonderful Life at Paramount and centering on the story around a person of color, which I know people's gonna call that woke, but man. He believes the story, made famous in the Frank Capra's 1946 film starring Jimmy Stewart, is tailor made for a POC perspective. Here's what he ended up saying. I feel like Christmas movies are amazing, and I think the idea of taking something that has a long of history and a tale behind it, and putting an amazing piece of talent to tell the story, Bear said. It's a guy who's trying to help out his community and things going to turn around him. I think that's the perfect story to tell for a person of color, black or brown, to get into that because our communities have some issues and someone trying to help that community out. I think that's the perfect vehicle to tell that story from. He also had to say, "I'm a still believer in IP. I think to get stuff for sometimes I believe that like the idea is some of those great stories or told again and again and again. So having the opportunity to take some like of those IPs and tell like them from a different point of view is like a gift that's hopefully keep getting around. So I don't know. I think a remake of It's Wonderful. Hey, my perspective. If it stinks, always got the original. But I don't know, I think a new take of It's Wonderful Life could possibly work today. Um, I mean, they're not gonna take away what made the original so unique and stuff. I mean, they're just like putting their own spin on it. So I don't think they're gonna be pulling like a Psycho and do like a shot by shot remake. I mean, of course, the original did start the likes of Jimmy Stewart as George Bailey. Like, if you guys don't know much about the original, um, James Stewart played George Bailey, who's a man who has given up on his personal dreams in order to help others in his community, and whose thoughts of suicide on Christmas Eve, being about like the intervention of his guardian angel, Clarence Abadi. And Clarence shows George all the lives he touched and what the world would be like if he did not exist. And I think a story like this in modern times could possibly work. I mean, well, we never had an actual remake of It's a Wonderful Life. We had like stories similar to it. Most recently we just had a horror version of it, which was It's a Wonderful Knife, which I quite enjoyed. So I don't know. I think this could possibly work. Like in a new era. I think something like this could definitely be told true amount of time, and I don't know. It's gonna be interesting when this thing actually comes out because Kanan Barris is also doing like a Wizard of Oz film. He's doing a Richard Pryor biopic. He has some other stuff here and there. So when this is gonna come out is beyond me, but it could be interesting. I mean, obviously, who will they get to be? No actors obviously will be as good as Jimmy Stewart was, but I'm sure whoever they cast to play like the George Bailey right will do their own part and won't like try to imitate Jimmy Stewart or anything. I mean, the original, of course, had the likes of Donna Reed, Lionel Barrymore as Mr. Potter. I mean, who could you get to play Mr. Potter? That should be interesting. Who could you get to play the kids here? So, and it should be interesting to see what they're planning to do with this. But let me let you guys. What are your thoughts on Kanan Barris set to make a remake of It's a Wonderful Life? Were you ever a fan of the original film? Are you even interested in checking out a remake? Drop comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notification. This is Timmy Signer.